everyone, and welcome back to Inside number 23, my little corner of the interwebs where I talk all about my knitting and sewing and my crafty life in general. And I'm coming to you as always from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my husband Emrys and our pug puppy Rolly. And I just want to say a huge welcome back to any of my long-term viewers, and a big hi, hello, how are you to anyone who's joining us for the first time. It is so lovely to be back with you. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me pretty much everywhere as Miss Lavelli. I'm most active on Instagram, and we also have a Ravelry group which you can find just by searching Inside number 23 on Ravelry. That will take you through to the group, and that's where you can get involved in things like knit-alongs and giveaways and all of that glorious stuff, and just become a part of our weird and wonderful online knitting family. Thank you so much for coming back to spend a little bit of crafty time with me this week, you guys. Everything feels a little bit all over the place this week, which I'm going to get into in a minute, but to start off with, I have new lights this week to help me be able to record at different times of the day. Now that the winter is kind of around the corner and our clocks have all gone back in the UK, daylight is sparse, shall we say. So I've got these lovely new softbox lights, but they are a little bit intense and I'm working out the kinks with them. So this week may be a little bit overexposed, but we'll go with it. I'm going for a kind of ghostly pallor, you know, a kind of Halloween-esque. I am so sorry that there wasn't an episode last week. A lot of stuff has been going on in my personal life, which, like I said, I will get into in just a moment. But I really appreciate, as always, your kind of support and your love and your understanding around when I take a week off. It's so appreciated, and I'm incredibly lucky to have such a loving group of people checking in with me each week. So thank you so much for that. I am going to start off this week with a little bit of real life stuff because I think I owe it to you to be a little bit honest about a couple of things that have been going on in my personal life which have affected my crafting and have also kind of affected my ability to podcast, hence no episode last week. It's been a little bit intense. I think a couple of you have realised in the last few episodes that things have seemed a little bit, shall we say, off, and it's just because, you know, when you're kind of going through life and everything seems kind of normal and you find you're normal, and then suddenly life starts throwing things at you at a ridiculous pace. That kind of feels like it has been happening over the past couple of weeks. A couple of things specifically. My job, my lovely new job at Tilly and the Buttons, if you don't know, a few months ago I was employed as an office assistant at Tilly and the Buttons HQ in London. You are now looking at the office manager of Tilly and the Buttons HQ, yes. I have had a change of job role, which is incredibly exciting. It has also been incredibly challenging, and so that has taken up a lot of time and energy as we've been going through those role changes, and yes, it has been, shall we say, a little bit intense. It's incredibly satisfying work and I am enjoying it, but it's taken up a lot more time than I anticipated when I first accepted the role, which has obviously taken a while for everything to balance out in my personal life. On top of that, my travel into and out of London has been a bit of a nightmare recently. On several days it's taken me over 2 hours to get into work and get out of work, which means a 4-hour round trip every day, and that has been incredibly draining, as I'm sure you can imagine, and that again has kind of eaten into my reserve energy, and therefore on my days off I felt not really in the mood for crafting at all, let alone getting a camera out and filming a podcast. The most kind of intense thing that's been happening the last couple of weeks is something that I talked about briefly on Instagram, and unfortunately hasn't really been getting much better, and that is our gorgeous little man Rolly the pug. Has been incredibly under the weather for the last several weeks. It's been almost 3 weeks now since our little boy was kind of happy and healthy and fully himself. I don't want you guys to get too worried because he is in incredibly good hands. He's on medicine. We've had multiple vet visits over the last couple of weeks, and I am 100% sure that he is getting exactly the kind of help that he needs in order to be happy and healthy again as much as possible. But unfortunately, the sickness bug that he has got is kicking his little furry behind at the moment, and unfortunately that means it has also been kicking mine and Emrys's behinds, because his particular bout of illness has caused him to not really be able to sleep through the night comfortably. He is being quite ill in the middle of the night, particularly in the early hours of the morning, and being very distressed and needing comfort, which obviously has meant that we are not sleeping particularly well. You can probably see the eyes under my bag. The bags under, oh my goodness, you can probably see the bags under my eyes. You see what I mean? I can't even talk properly to you guys. Although I have put quite a lot of makeup on, so hopefully those are hidden from your view. But those multiple kind of situations all combined have just made the last couple of weeks very, very hard, which is one of the reasons why I didn't podcast last week. And I really hope that you don't mind me sharing all of these things with you. Recently I have found that when I've tried to be a little bit more open and honest about some of the things in my life, I have had a little bit of backlash with people saying it's attention seeking, and that's not what this is, really and truly. I hope that's not how it's coming across. I just want to be very honest with you as to why I may not have been myself recently. I'm just a little bit sleep deprived, overworked, and generally just very tired, and all of those things combined with my kind of ongoing mental health issues to do with anxiety and depression, it's been hard. It's been hard the last couple of weeks. I like to put across a real feeling of positivity in this podcast, in about finding joy in crafting and all of these beautiful things that we put so much time and energy into. And to be perfectly honest with you, the last couple of weeks finding that joy has been difficult. It's been a real struggle. I haven't found myself reaching for my crafty projects, really not much at all. Particularly last week, I was in a particularly dark place, shall we say. I feel like we've come to a point now where I'm really finding my way out again, which is why I feel comfortable with spending a bit of time with you and kind of explaining what's been going on. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. It's been hard. Finding that crafty joy has been difficult, and because of that, I fully anticipate that this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, and possibly in the weeks to come the episodes may be a little bit shorter as I find my feet again. But more than anything, what I want you to know is what drives me is you guys and your love of this podcast and your support for everything that I do. It is overwhelming, and I do want to spend my time with you. I want to share all of these wonderful things with you, and that's incredibly important to me. And I don't want some of the accumulation of the negative things that are going on in my life to prevent me from doing something that really does make me happy, which is putting out this podcast. So that's a very all-round, all over the place way of saying that I love you, I appreciate you, thank you for understanding, and things may be a little bit all over the place for a couple of weeks, but we'll find our way back together, and I'm just really happy to be back to spend a little bit of time with you. So yay! Let's get on with some bits and pieces that are a little bit more positive, I think. Moving on from the general debacle that my life feels as though it is at the moment. I feel like I've waffled at the beginning of the episode, so there's probably not going to be a waffle later on, I'm not going to lie. Okay, I have some incredibly exciting bits and pieces to talk about first and foremost, before we get on to a little bit of knitting, a little bit of sewing, a little bit of all of that lovely stuff. First of all, I'm really excited to be able to announce some prize winners for the Harry Potter Cal. And yes, you heard me right, prize winners, because the prize winner from last month never got in touch with me, so I've decided to redraw for that prize. So October knitters, 2 of you stand the chance of winning a Harry Potter themed prize. So exciting! For those of you who don't know, I am currently hosting a year-long knit-along all to do with Harry Potter. It's basically knit anything that you like during the month that is Harry Potter themed. If you want more information, I have made a little video all about the knit-along, which you can find in the notes down below. I do pop my show notes in the down bar down below in case you want to know any information about what I'm talking about. But I have drawn 2 prize winners for the October thread, so thank you so much again to everybody who got involved. It's overwhelming that over 200 of you entered again for the knit along. You guys are incredible, and I'm so excited that I have 2 winners to draw this week. So the first prize, which was the unclaimed prize from September, is this gorgeous skein of yarn by Little Bean Loves. It is in the Amortensia colourway. It's truly stunning, and then a selection of Harry Potter themed stitch markers, which are equally glorious. The winner of that lovely, lovely skein of yarn and those stitch markers was Knit Zealot. So Knit Zealot, please drop me an email with your contact information, and I will make sure that that prize is sent out to you as soon as possible. And huge, huge, huge congratulations. For anyone who does want to get in touch with me for anything regarding the podcast, please do drop me an email. My email is katie@insidenumber23.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Excitingly, the other prize that I have to draw for this month's Harry Potter knit along was actually sent to me by a very, very lovely viewer of the podcast, Lynn. So hi Lynn, I hope you're well. Lynn was generous enough to send me, she has sent me things in the past, but she wanted to send me something specifically for my 30th birthday, which has just gone by. And she is an incredibly talented lady, very, very handy with her needle and thread, because she made me this incredible project bag. Oh my goodness, guys, could you not just die at how amazing this is? So previously she made me a zip up project bag with Harry Potter on it. She knows that I'm a big Harry Potter fan. This is a gorgeous drawstring bag. It is so squishy, and oh, it's such high quality, guys, I can't even tell you. And it has a little cross-stitched Hermione on it. I just can't even tell you how beautiful that this is. She also made me a little matching notions pouch with the Hufflepuff logo on the top there, which is stunning. I really, really love this little bit of kind of lace that's along the top. It's really stunning. So thank you so much, Lynn. You are so talented. I can't even handle it. But excitingly, she also sent along this stunning Gryffindor little notions pouch. You can see it has the little G cross-stitched on the front there, and I can tell you guys, this is so stunning. It's just really, really special. And Lynn, thank you so much for sending those. Just while I remember her details, she is Stitching Fairy Crafts on Etsy. I will pop her details on the screen down below and also in the drop down so that you can check out her website and show her some love. So my other winner of this beautiful notions pouch, and most likely I will be popping some other goodies in there for you as well, is North Coast Chris. So please drop me an email as well with your contact information, and I will get your prize sent off to you as soon as possible. Huge congratulations, and thank you everybody who got involved again with the Harry Potter knit along. I so appreciate all of your support, and everyone who has sent prizes and just got so excited about Harry Potter and knitting. You make my heart grow 1100 sizes, so thank you. The excitement doesn't end there, you guys, though. Oh no, because I have not one, but two incredible giveaways to announce this week. I'm just going to grab my phone so that I make sure that I get the details of the first one correct. I don't want to miss anything out. So very excitingly, in the last couple of weeks, I was contacted by lovely Rachel, who is organising the incredible Nottingham Yarn Expo this year. Now, the Nottingham Yarn Expo, if I could put my teeth in, the Nottingham Yarn Expo is going to be taking place in Nottingham, obviously, this November, the 11th and the 12th of November, and Rachel has been kind enough to donate 2 pairs of weekend passes for the Yarn Expo for some of you lovely, lovely guys. And I think that's such a wonderful prize, so generous. And I think that the Nottingham Yarn Expo, my goodness, I just can't say it. Nottingham Yarn Expo is going to be a really, really special and lovely event. It's going to have some incredible vendors. I'm talking about people who don't vend at a huge amount of other places. It's just really, really exciting, including my dear, 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 dear friend Amy of the Stranded podcast and Stranded Dye Works, whom I adore and love and worship the ground she walks on. And also my lovely, lovely, lovely friend Tracy of Nora George Yarns. And you know how much of a fan I am of Tracy and her yarn company is going to be vending there as well. So if you want the amazing opportunity of being able to see some really incredible vendors in the flesh, I would very, very much recommend that you head over to Nottingham if you get the chance. I also think my dear friend Nathan of the Sockmatician podcast is going to be there. I think Hannah of Hannah and the Road podcast is going to be there. I think it's going to be a really, really lovely event, and I very much hope that you guys will enter the giveaway for this. Now, I'm going to be opening a Ravelry thread for this giveaway. Please only enter if you are available on the 11th and 12th or either or, and are in a position to be able to get to Nottingham, and head over and enter answering the question that I'm going to pop in the prompt. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be just yet. And the likelihood is I will be drawing the prize winners before my episode next week. If that is the case, I will get in touch with the winners directly, just so that your information can get sent off to Rachel as soon as possible, and your tickets can be on the way to you ASAP. I'm really, really, really excited about this giveaway, particularly because, fingers crossed, I may be heading to Nottingham for the Yarn Expo myself. It will probably only be one of the days, and I'm not entirely sure which one I will be going for next just yet. I need to get all of my ducks in a row before I make definitive plans, but I would very much love to go. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing event, and yeah, get your entries in. Head over to the Ravelry group now and enter for that. But also, while you're there, you may want to enter for another giveaway, because people are just so kind and lovely and wonderful, and they take my breath away at their generosity. Because over the past couple of weeks, I was also contacted by the incredible dyer Helen of the Wool Kitchen, and Helen actually got in touch to say that she would love to collaborate and do a giveaway. And we got into conversation about my recent disaster of a frogging project, which was the Netherton pullover, the Netherton cardigan from Pom Pom Quarterly, which if you are a long-term viewer or have at least watched my most recent couple of episodes, you will know I knit the entirety of the body and then frogged the whole thing. It was not a happy time, and I was most upset because the yarn was beautiful yarn by the Wool Kitchen, which I wanted to use so badly because I enjoyed knitting with it so much. So it was very, very disheartening when that project didn't work out. However, I have now picked a new project for that yarn. I'm very, very excited about it, a new sweater, but I needed a couple more skeins of the yarn, which I asked Helen if she still had them available so that I could buy some more, and sweet yarn fairy godmother that she is, along with the prize for you guys, she also sent me a couple more skeins of Champagne Supernova for my sweater. So thank you, Helen. You are a wonderful, kind, beautiful soul, and you made my day in a couple of weeks that has been, shall we say, a little bit bleak. It was a real highlight, so thank you so, so much. So I have 2 new skeins of this gorgeousness, and sweeter than anything, on the description label she actually called it Make It Better Champagne Supernova, which is just adorable and lovely, and I can't wait to get this caked up and get my new sweater cast on so that this yarn can have its day in the sun. But obviously you guys are going to be a lot more excited about what was sent for you. And I can hardly tell you how amazing this is. Oh my goodness. Okay, are you ready? Ha! Is this not just the most beautiful skein you have ever seen? This is the same base that I am using for my sweater. It is the 100% Blueface Leicester DK weight yarn, and it is stunning. And the colourway name, which I'm probably going to butcher, Heterochromia, I believe is how it's pronounced, but it's similar to Champagne Supernova insofar as it has kind of one block colour with the beautiful speckling, but with this it has this gorgeous kind of steely blue-grey and then this little shot of natural with these incredible neon colours in it. It is absolutely stunning, and I think you guys are going to love this. I am so happy to be able to give this away, and there's her label, The Wool Kitchen. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, Helen's yarn is a joy to knit with. I feel so lucky to have a sweater's quantity in my stash and be able to use it for a project that I think is going to be a firm favourite now. But I am going to be opening another giveaway thread in the Ravelry group for this Wool Kitchen yarn, and this will most likely be open until next week's episode. So do head over to the Ravelry group and enter for the Nottingham Yarn Expo tickets, enter for this gorgeous yarn by the Wool Kitchen. I'm so jealous. I want this to stay with me forever, but I am going to give it to you, don't worry. But yes, do head over, enter both of those giveaways. Good luck. I'll keep everything crossed for you, and you could stand the chance to win some pretty amazing things this week. Okay, I think it's about time that we move on to a little bit of knitty goodness, don't you? So I'm going to start off this week with my works in progress knitting wise, and I only have one. That's right, you guys, one project, because as I said, it's been difficult. I found it difficult to kind of commit time to anything crafty. I've just not felt myself, to be honest. I mean, you know when you're not crafting that something's really, really wrong. Much in the same way that when Rolly stopped eating earlier today, I realised that something was very, very wrong. It's difficult to get in the mood to make beautiful things when the love of your life, your precious little pup, is unwell. But luckily he does seem to be on the mend. Fingers crossed. Oh my goodness, fingers crossed. I don't know how much more of this we can take, but I have been putting some serious time onto one particular project which has been really a lifesaver when it comes to my crafting. This last couple of weeks, I've kind of been referring to it in my head as the Great Frogging of 2017, because pretty much everything that I have been working on has been frogged. At least that's how it's felt. I obviously frogged my Netherton cardigan, which was made with the Wool Kitchen yarn. I also frogged my Hufflepuff Pride cardigan, which is the yarn that I've used for the project that I'm going to be talking about next. I'm also in the process of frogging another project, which was my Aspen cardigan by Michelle Wong. Oh yes, I know, everything has been going through a big frog, which is probably another reason why I felt a little bit blocked creatively, because when you're just kind of ripping back all of the work that you've been doing recently, it's incredibly unsatisfying. After a while you just think, well, what was the point of doing all of this? But I know that it will all kind of make sense in the long term. The Aspen cardigan, if you will recall, I was knitting it in a DK weight yarn, and it was designed for a worsted weight yarn. It was actually designed for Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, and I am just not feeling this project with the yarn that I'm using. I genuinely think it's not a high enough twist to be able to really show off a heavily cabled garment, and the amount of cables that are in the Aspen cardigan, I don't want to be knitting with yarn that doesn't really support cables, because you know, you don't want to put all of that work into doing all of those cables and not have those cables shown off properly, do you? So unfortunately, yet another project got frogged. So yeah, you can probably understand why I was kind of at my wit's end with my knitting. I was really feeling that every other project that I was working on was making me want to tear my hair out, and then enter the Kerrytown pullover. Now, I talked about this pullover last week, and since that episode, I actually caught up with the most recent episode of the Handmade and Woolen podcast with lovely Jenny, and she showed off her finished Kerrytown pullover. She was the first person that I saw knit this project. I saw it on her Instagram, and to hear her talking about it on her podcast, I agreed with absolutely everything she said. It's a beautiful project. I am loving it, and it's giving me life when it comes to my knitting. It really is. And I'm excited to say I've done a lot of work on this. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Because what was just kind of an idea has now become something so much more, because I finished the front. Dun, da, da, da. Oh, I've got tails hanging off everything. Let's clear those out of the way and show you properly. Check it out. Oh my goodness. I finished the front piece. So this sweater, as you can probably tell, is knit in pieces, which is, I understand, a little bit challenging for a lot of people. It's very in vogue at the moment to knit everything in one piece, you know, just round and round and round for a sweater, or backwards and forwards in one piece and setting in the sleeves and that type of thing, with a lot of modern knits. When I first learned to knit, that wasn't a thing. Everything was knit in pieces, and so to knit a project in pieces like this and then seam up later actually feels like coming home in a funny way. It feels like I'm going back to my knitting roots, and yeah, I'm so happy with how this has turned out. It's glorious. So the yarn, like I said, is from a frogged project. It is from my Hufflepuff Pride cardigan, and it is some Knit Picks yarn. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's Knit Picks Capra, which is an MCN blend, and this colour is the Tumeric colour, which is this gorgeous mustard. It has this really lovely ridged pattern along the side panels. I believe it's interrupted garter stitch is the technical term. It's truly wonderful, but the real kind of bit that makes my heart happy is the cabling section. It's covered in rolly hair, as is everything that I make at the moment. But yes, the cabling pattern that runs down the entire front of the sweater, which is made up of two real parts. You have on either side this lovely braided cable, which is incredibly effective but very, very simple, and then this amazing cable that runs down the entire of the centre front, and it's amazing. I love it. And to be perfectly honest, I think that this yarn works perfectly for this cable. I mean, the definition that I'm getting from that makes my heart sing. It's wonderful. And this, because it's a slightly heavier weight yarn, being DK weight, it's really, really flying off the needles. In particular, because it's being knit in pieces, it's growing a lot quicker because I'm obviously only working on the front at the moment. So this has just taken me maybe about a week of knitting on and off. Like I said, haven't really been feeling the knitting mojo, and yet this has still happened. So I am incredibly happy with it, and it's so squishy. When I refer to it in my head, I call it the Kerry Gold pullover, and that's because Kerry Gold is a kind of like dairy product here in the UK. I'm not sure whether it's like international or not. I believe it's from Ireland originally, but it's because of the colour, this golden mustard, and the fact that it's the Kerrytown pullover. I do refer to it as the Kerry Gold pullover. Utterly ridiculous, I know. I'm very, very silly, but I love it so much. And yes, I have started working on the back. Let me just show you what I've got so far. It's not very exciting. I'm on the ribbing for the back section, and the ribbing on the back is actually double the length of the ribbing of the front of the sweater, so it's getting a little bit tedious now. Rib is not my favourite. I think it's not a lot of people's favourites. But yeah, once that's done, I believe it's just the interrupted garter stitch for the back, which will be so lovely. I've really enjoyed knitting this kind of texture. I've never worked with it before, but it's very pleasing to knit, and it feels incredible when it's done. And I feel so much happier about this project now that it is this yarn, rather, now that it's in this project. I know for a fact that I would have never reached for the Hufflepuff Pride cardigan that I was working on in the same way that I will reach for this. I'm already excited about wearing it, and it's not even kind of halfway finished. And it's a real testament to the designer at how much I appreciate and love this pattern. Annie Lupton, you are a genius. This is such a joy to work on, and for anyone who loves cabling but wants something a little bit mindless, I would very much recommend this, because the only thing that you really need to worry about is the central cabled pattern. The rest of it is very intuitive, and you don't kind of have to keep your eye on the pattern constantly. So if you are a big fan of cables, and you want to knit a lovely oversized snuggly sweater for autumn and winter, I would really recommend this one. It's something special. And as you can tell from my gushing about it, it has been such a balm for my soul. Which is what knitting is really supposed to be, isn't it? Let's be honest. So I'm going to get this blocked now that I've shown it to you guys. I did want to block it this afternoon, and then realised I wouldn't be able to show it if it was wet. So yes, that is my current work in progress, full of love and knitting goodness, and yeah, it's making me very happy. That is everything that's been going on in my knitting life. I do have a lot of projects that need to be worked on, but I have been kind of ripping back more than I've been knitting on in the past several weeks. So I've been trying to stay away from a lot of my more languishing whips, because I don't want this kind of ripping out attitude to leak into absolutely everything. I don't want to have a more destructive kind of feel over every single thing that I knit. That's just not helpful at all. But I do have a lot of other smaller projects that I would like to get cast on as a bit of a palette cleanser. I would like to cast on a new pair of socks. In particular, there are several skeins of self-striping yarn that I want to get on the needles soon. I very much want to work with this gorgeous skein of Jinx yarns, which is in her Jack and Sally colourway, which I've had sitting here since this time last year. I love this colourway, and I think it would make a really lovely thing to tide me over between Halloween and Christmas. But I also have a skein of her gorgeous gingerbread house colourway here, which I was going to have for my Christmas Eve cast on, but I might cast that on a little bit earlier. There are also a couple of hats that I would like to get cast on. We're going to have some house guests in later November, and I would really like it if I could get a couple of hats knit up for them in the meantime, because they are dear friends of ours who are coming all the way from New York to stay with us, and I'd like to make a big fuss of them when they do come. And I think a couple of hats would be a really lovely thing for them to have as a memory of their time, to like time spent with us in our house. but I might be pushing it a little bit. Let's be honest, I do tend to overdo it, shall we say, when it comes to setting challenges for myself. So, you know, possibly that might happen. We'll see. We'll see how we get on. But I can feel the inspiration taking hold of me again with my knitting, which is really lovely, because like I said, I hit a major block, and to have that kind of starting to ebb away, it feels really good. So yay! I have done a little bit of sewing this week. It isn't particularly finessed sewing. It's a little bit quick and dirty, but it was for something very, very special, which was for Halloween. Halloween is a really special time for me and Emrys. We've always loved Halloween, both of us, since we were children. We have a bit of a love for it, the kind of American style Halloween, you know, with the trick-or-treating and pumpkin everything and dressing up and lots of sweets. And it's not such a big thing here in the UK, but every year I feel that it's growing a little bit more, and there are more things around for Halloween, which is really, really cool. But it's also a special time of year because Halloween 8 years ago was when Emrys and I went on our first date together, and our wedding anniversary is the 2nd of November, so 2 days after Halloween. So all in all, it's just a very special time of year for us. We really, really love it, and it means a lot to us. And this year we wanted to kind of mark that occasion by doing something a little bit different. And we decided to have a Halloween party that was Stranger Things themed. And it was mostly Emrys's hard work that made it come together. It was a lot of his friends from work were the people who came, and he worked so hard. He made a wall with the alphabet letters on it, like the first season of Stranger Things, with little Christmas lights along it. Our entire downstairs of our house was decorated with Christmas lights and red light bulbs and lots of kind of American paraphernalia all around. He also made various Stranger Things themed cocktails. One was called Contemplation, which was a espresso martini kind of thing. Obviously coffee and contemplation from season 1. There was also Whatever Happened to Barb, which was a really cool kind of upside down themed cocktail, which I obviously loved because it's named after one of my favourite characters. And then cocktail number 11, which involved kind of maple syrup and an Eggo waffle as a garnish. And it was incredibly creative, and loads of people came and put a lot of effort into their costumes, and it was fun. But I obviously needed to go as my favourite character from Stranger Things, or at least one of my favourites, but my real style icon from Stranger Things, which is Barb. Now, for those of you who don't watch Stranger Things, Barb is just fabulous. She is kind of dressed like a 1980s secretary for the majority of Stranger Things. I'm not going to spoil it for you in terms of telling you a huge amount about her story, but suffice it to say she has a bit of a cult following, and I really, really wanted to go as Barb because I just think that she is amazing. And this is what I ended up looking like. And I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty good match. I really, really do think that's a pretty good match for Barb. I was very, very proud of how my costume turned out, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I think I probably looked more like my character than anybody else did at the party, so it was really fun. The main kind of parts of the costume were obviously the blouse, the glasses. I had to go out and buy a pair of jeans, and that was, it was absolutely harrowing. My self-esteem has not been great the last couple of weeks, as I've kind of hinted towards, and the last thing that you need to do when you have low self-esteem is to go and shop for jeans, particularly when you are plentiful in the behind department, as I am, and oh my goodness, it was awful. But I finally managed to find a pair of jeans. I picked up a pair of plain glasses from Claire's Accessories in this kind of peachy plastic colour that were perfect. But when it came to the shirt, I really wanted to make sure that I had a shirt that was as Barb as possible, and I knew from doing a lot of searching in more high street stores and charity shops that I probably wasn't going to find the exact thing that I wanted, and that I would need to make something. And so I bought a shirt, a man's shirt, from a local charity shop for I think £5, which was a bit of a bargain. I mean, even if I bought fabric, it wouldn't have been as cheap as £5, so I was very thrilled with that. And I made this with it. So this is my Barb blouse, and I am really thrilled with how this turned out, you guys. In terms of fit, it was very oversized, so I took a little bit of the kind of, you can see here that weird sort of curve, the excess out of this area and into the underarm, and kind of just sewed up the seams a little bit tighter so that the fit was better. I also, the sleeves are probably as quick and dirty as they could be. I pretty much just cut off the cuffs of the shirt and did a little hem along the bottom. I just turned the seam under and pressed it and then sewed it, and so I got these little kind of shorter sleeves, which was a lot more the style that Barb had in a lot of the pictures that I found of her online. I also kind of tightened them just by overlapping them a little bit more than they were originally and sewing little buttons on there as a detail, because as you all know, I'm an utter sucker for details. But my favourite part of this whole kind of reimagining of this shirt is definitely all of the ruffles. So you'll see from a lot of the photos of Barb that there are online, she wears a lot of amazing high neck ruffled blouses, and in particular one of them that she wears I know is tartan, which is why I went for this tartan. So let me just talk you through what I did in order to kind of make this happen. The ruffle along the top was the first one that I made, and the only thing that I needed to do in order to create this was to unpick the stitches. So this collar stand is still the original collar stand of the shirt as it was when I bought it. I unpicked, using a seam ripper, the stitches all along the top of the collar stand and detached the collar pieces from it. I then ripped those pieces apart, because obviously a collar is made of a front and a back collar that are then sewn together around the collar stand. And so I ripped those two pieces apart. I cut the angled ends of them off, so the kind of, you know, your collars have the pointy bits of the collar. I cut those off and I sewed them together into one single strip, which I then gathered up along the bottom and finished the edges so that they wouldn't unravel. I then put the gathered collar back inside the collar stand and you get this incredible ruffle. So that's all that is. Basically, you can see here, that's the interfacing from the inside of the original collar, which you can see on the inside of the collar, but obviously from the outside it just looks like this amazing ruffle. So that detail is literally just from refashioning the collar that was on the shirt, and that didn't take too long, which was great. Now, one of the main things that Barb's shirts have, as well as the ruffle around the collar, are the ruffles down the front. And yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I was going to have ruffles down the front of my blouse as well as around the collar. And in a very similar way, these ruffles were made from fabric that was kind of reallocated from other parts of the shirt. With this, I also shortened the shirt, so you can see there's a little seam along here, and it was that excess fabric from around the bottom, because the shirt was a lot longer than I needed it to be, cut into strips, gathered up and re-sewn into the front panel of the shirt that had these ruffles down the front. So like I said, a little bit quick and dirty, a little bit rough and ready, but it ended up being the part of my costume that I think really drew everything together. And I'm really happy that I have this, so that if I ever want to be Barb in the future, I totally can be. I also pinned all my hair up and did a kind of Barb swirl around the front, which was great. I drew loads of freckles on my face so I looked more like Barb, and yeah, all in all, it was just a really, really fun costume. Very out of character for me at Halloween, because I usually do go for something a lot more gothic, and so to be just going as kind of an 80s kind of character was very different, but I loved every second of it. And PS, we've already finished season 2 of Stranger Things on Netflix, and I would very much recommend it if you enjoyed the first season. Not that I'm going to be saying anything else right now, because no spoilers here, but I will be always and forever a massive, massive fan of Stranger Things. Okay guys, because I had a little bit of a waffle on at the beginning of the episode, I am not going to be having a waffle to close out this week's episode. Like I said, it's a little bit shorter than usual. I didn't have a huge amount of stuff to share with you, but I'm hoping that as my creativity starts coming back, as I start kind of taking ownership of my life again and not feeling so overwhelmed, that will naturally come in the next couple of weeks. So fingers crossed. I will have more exciting things to share with you next time. For now, thank you so, so much for all of your love and your support for the channel, and just for everything that I do. You guys are incredible. If you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up or comment or hit subscribe. These things might seem a little bit small and a bit weird for me to ask you to do at the end of each episode, but it does a huge amount for the channel in terms of how much exposure it gets, which is so helpful in terms of us being able to grow things and do more with the channel. So please do, if you feel like it. That would be amazing. For now, from me to you, I'm sending you so much love. I hope that you fill this week with self-care and glorious crafty goodness, and I will check in with you the same time next week. Have a really, really good one. I love you loads and loads. Happy sewing, happy knitting, and I'll see you soon. Bye!